I thought it might be a good idea first just to show you some of the products that we keep on hand, and we can give you a rough idea of how to use them. So these are the panty liners, and you can see they're super thin, right? They're microscopically thin. That's not even a word, is it? They're very thin. They're thinner than thin, okay? And so this is what you can use.
These are like the anorexic pads, right?
No.
They're so super thin, they're anorexic pads. That's what we call them.
So you
Anti-pads.
This is what you can use when you think maybe you're going to start in the next week. This is what you can use when you're at the very, very tail end of your period. Maybe for 24 hours you haven't seen anything, but you think, I just want to be safe, and so wear these another day or two. It doesn't hurt, right? It's just
totally not
your little insurance policy.
Right.
Okay, this is how small the pads can be. This is like 2 inches by 1 inch.
Is that the quiet pad?
We'll see how quiet it is. Okay, ready? Here we go. Pretty quiet. I don't know. So this may not be, I think this isn't a quiet pad. It's just ones that I got that were very small. They're easily, like you can see, like they're easily palmed even if you did nothing, but up your sleeve, no one would ever see that, right?
Kleenex.
You know, you just put up your sleeve and walk out. And so when it unfolds to be like a regular size. And so basically, if you've never used a pad before, you're just going to open up the paper and you're going to pull off the sticky part on the back and this little covering for the sticky part, right? The sticky part goes on your underwear, and the other side is the absorbency side, and so it just absorbs.
It goes up against you.
It goes up against you, exactly. The soft side goes against you, and then that's going to be what just absorbs the blood flow during the day. And every 2 hours, I would say you should go in and change it if you're in like a heavy time, like when it's really going in.
And how would you position it?
Well, you know what I do is you may do it differently than I do, I've never asked, but I put my underwear on, and I put it like up to my knees, and then I undo this, and then I set it right in my underwear so that this middle part is right across the middle part of your underwear.
That's what I would say too,
Yeah, it just seems like it's easier to position it in my underwear while my underwear is partly on than it is to do it separately.
Right.
Is that the way you feel too?
Yeah. And the other thing is too is the ones that I use have like those wings. You'll see on the packaging it'll say wings, and they kind of come out this way, and then they wrap around your underwear. So that kind of helps from messiness, right? So you don't have to
you don't have to worry about it getting on your underwear on the sides of your underwear, because sometimes that will happen.
We didn't have that when I was in high school. This thick.
Yeah.
Seriously, this thick.
Very thick.
So that's not bad.
And so you should change it regularly, and part of it is just to be clean, right? And part of it is the odor. And so
you'll feel more comfortable.
You will.
You honestly will feel more comfortable.
And basically what happens when you start your period is you'll have like the first day will probably be very light, and maybe even like a light brownish color, or maybe it'll be a light pink color, and then your period will get heavier over a couple of days, and then taper off again in the last couple of days. Most people have like between a 5 and a 7 day period of time where they have their period, where there's something that they need to wear a pad for, right? There's enough to wear a pad for. But it really varies for each girl, and if you have a really heavy period, totally normal. If you have barely anything, totally normal. And again, your period may not come exactly every 28 days from the start of your last period to the start of your next one. You may even miss a month in the beginning.
That can happen too.
And it's normal to have irregular periods in the first couple of years that you have one. What do you do if you have nothing, you don't have a girlfriend to ask? There's, I've had that occasion where I've been out and it completely surprised me. So, one thing is, for a temporary use, you can just wrap some toilet paper around to sort of form your own little pad, your own little kind of pillow. And, that's going to get, depending on how heavy your cycle is, that might get you through an hour until you can get somewhere to get it. But I think one of the things you're going to have to figure out how to get over is the embarrassment of asking.
Definitely.
And there isn't a woman alive who probably doesn't carry something in their purse that could help you, even if it's a stranger, a complete stranger, that you couldn't say, I started my period and I need something, that they wouldn't be super discreet, hand you something quietly.
Not only that, super happy to do that for you, because we've all been in that position.
Absolutely.
All been in that position.
Absolutely. And if you're in anywhere from 5th grade on up, I guarantee you your teacher has something in her desk, because she has been asked by at least 3 kids that year
Or
for
other teachers.
something,
Or other teachers,
right.
for sure.
And often in the teachers' bathrooms at schools, they supply all of the sanitary napkin stuff too for the teachers. So it's just easy for them to run in and grab you something discreetly. And they will be so careful with your feelings because they were young girls once too. They had those things happen, and they know that there's an embarrassment factor with that. The other good person is going to your school nurse or your school secretary, because usually that's at least in an office and it's a little more private, and they can hand you what you need, and sometimes you can just take care of it right there in an adult bathroom that's in the office.
And you're totally fine with telling your teacher, I don't feel good right now, and asking to go to the nurses. You don't need to say why.
Exactly.
If you don't feel comfortable, just say, you know what, I don't feel good, I feel really nauseous, and then get to the nurse's office and ask them, or, you know.
If you can't eke the words out and you know that you can hand the note immediately to a teacher, write it on a little Post-it note or a piece of paper, walk it up and hand it to your teacher and say, please read this. And they'll read it right away and they'll hand you something, right? She will throw that in the trash, rip it up, whatever. You can dispose of it however you want to make sure no one gets it. And you know, even if you're like out in a public place, more than likely if you go into a bathroom, you will be surrounded by women in that bathroom, and there will either be a kiosk that you can just throw a quarter in and get it if you have any money on you, or you can just ask any woman in there and they will immediately hand over whatever they've got. So, so anyway, the other thing about pads is there's also overnight ones, and so if you're really worried about messing up your pajamas or your bed, just use the thicker ones at night. They're not comfortable to wear during the day because they're just too thick, but they're that extra in the 3 or 4 days that maybe your cycle is heavier. It makes sense just to have a thicker, more absorbent pad because you're not going to be able to change it all night. You're going to be in bed 9 hours. You need something that's going to be able to absorb 9 hours worth of that.
And there's so many different ones like this. Like I said, we're not, like Holly said, we don't
care what brand you buy. Yeah.
I typically use Always, and they have ones that specifically say overnight, and some that are extra long, so that you're not having to worry.
Exactly.
I mean, seriously, it feels like it goes up to your neck and then up to the back of your neck, from front to back. But who cares? You're sleeping, and you just don't want to have to be woken up in the middle of the night with any, with a mess or having to, it saves a lot. It's super hot, and then it's got the wings so that you can fly at night. That's how big they are.
I fly in my dreams sometimes.
Yeah.
Do you?
I do too.